Hello, Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. My name is Aqsa Kausar. I am currently working as a tech lead at Red Buffer. I am also a Google developer expert in machine learning. अगर आपने keynote में सुना हो तो साद हामिद का काफ़ी mention हुआ था. So Saad is probably the reason why I became and still am a Google developer expert in ML. So he's been a very good mentor in that journey. So moving on, let's start. So हम start यहाँ से करेंगे. This is how we feel a lot of the times about data, right? जहाँ हमें कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा होता, what's going on. We keep talking about machine learning and the box, but nobody ever really explains what the box is, right? So I am here to give a very good solution to this problem. And hopefully that you guys will learn something in that. लेकिन उससे पहले let's go and talk a bit about classical ML and deep learning. So I know कि बहुत ज़्यादा hype जो है nowadays, it's all around deep learning, neural networks, deep networks. And obviously the deep networks, they do some really amazing things, right? And ChatGPT, all these things are a product of that. But machine learning is not just this, right? Machine learning is not just deep learning. Machine learning is a huge domain, and it's a lot of math. And one amazing thing about machine learning lies basically in classical ML, right? There are some problems जो कि आपने अभी भी classical ML से ही solve करनी है. आप उन पे deep learning apply करते हुए doesn't give you the kind of results that you're expecting. But when you're applying classical ML, which is more of using some magical math, you get better results, right? So we just look at one of the classical ML techniques, and I'll tell you why we're looking at this. So decision trees, right? So let's say आपके पास 3 classes हैं. You want to basically, you have some features. You have features like, for example, the number of eyes, the number of legs, things like these, and you want to be able to classify using those features कि ये कौन सी class बनती है. So in very simple terms, this is what decision trees do, right? So they're based off of conditional questions, and based on कि वो आपका answer या वो feature किस side पर lie करता है उस tree के, you basically figure out whether it's a penguin, a dog, a spider, whatever it is, right? So it's a collection of questions, conditions, which are organized in a very hierarchical manner. So when you train decision trees, it's basically your questions आपने नहीं define करने होते. The decision trees figure out these questions for you based on the features you have, based on the classes you have, and the data set that you provide. But one very great thing about decision trees is that it's very fast at making predictions. So obviously, sometimes one decision tree is not good enough. So you can also combine these up, and you can use the knowledge that the different trees have learned to basically come to a final answer. And these are some benefits, right? अब ये बहुत ज़्यादा use होती हैं when you have tabular data, right? When it's not vision, when it's not NLP, but we are basically talking about tabular data, like data frames and all those things, and you just have these basic numerical or categorical features, and you have long lists of them, and you want to be able to do predictions or regressions and all those things. So one way is, okay, you take your data and you start training decision trees, and you start figuring out, okay, trees कितनी बनाएं हम, कितना उसके parameters क्या रखें, उसकी बाकी सारी चीज़ें क्या करें, how do we figure this out, and you can start training your decision trees. But उससे पहले, I think, for how many of you do not know machine learning? Raise of hands. Okay, how many of you know about machine learning but have not trained any model yet? Okay, so hopefully this will help. So let's say आप लोगों के पास कोई मसला आ जाता है, you don't know machine learning either, or या फिर आपको machine learning का पता है but you have not trained a model yet. Or third, you know machine learning, but you're all about vision and text. You have not messed with tabular data yet. So एक तो ये है that you start figuring this out, but there's actually a secret formula that Google recently launched, and not so long ago, and we're going to look at that. So that's simple ML for Sheets. So what exactly is simple ML for Sheets? Simple ML for Sheets is basically a no-code solution. So this is training, evaluation, prediction, everything that you can just do in Google Sheets. So how many of you have worked with Google Sheets before? Worked with Excel or Google Sheet or any sort of sheets, right? So that should be most people. So we use Google Sheets for a lot of things, right? आप उसमें formulas भी लगा सकते हो, graphs बनाते हैं, बाकी सारी चीजें करते हैं. But Google ने recently launched किया Simple ML for Sheets. It's basically just an add-on जो कि आप अपने Google Sheet में डाल देते हो, and you have your data in Google Sheets, and you can basically do all kinds of predictions and forecasting. Not all kinds, but we'll see what kinds. So now we'll basically talk about how simple this is going to be. So it's literally 3 clicks. So you have the data, you select a task, you click on prediction, and you get your predictions. That's how simple it's going to be. So you can basically just install Simple ML for Sheets. ये आप install करते हो directly आपके Google Sheets में install हो जाता है. So you can pick this up from your extensions. ठीक है? So as we are going to break this talk down into these 3 things, and we're going to go over them quickly because that's how simple it is. So the first one demo is about you want to predict some missing values. ठीक है? So let's say we have this scenario, right? You're a biologist studying penguins, you went to Antarctica, you got some data from the penguins. आपने 300 penguins का data ले लिया, but you realize that you forgot to get the species of 30 penguins. So you have the data, but you have like 30 species missing. 30 rows or 30 samples का आपके पास species का data missing है. So this is what the data is going to look like in Google Sheets. And you can see that there are missing values. So each row is obviously one sample. It belongs to one penguin. And then this is the column where we have the missing values. So all we want to do is predict these values. And that's what we're going to do, the next easy thing. You go to your extensions. You pick the Simple ML for Sheets. If you've installed it, you're going to see it in your extensions. You click Start, and something like this should pop up. Ab isme we have a couple of things. So we have what do you want to do. So you have a couple of things you can do with Simple ML for Sheets. For this, we want to predict the values. So we click on Predict Missing Values, and then we can also select कि हमारे species हमने किस चीज़ को predict करना है, किस column को predict करना है. So you can predict any of these columns, which is length, body mass, year, etc. And then you just click on Predict. So you select the values. अगर आप इस drop down में देखो तो we can see a couple of other things as well. Spot abnormal values, forecast future values, and then there are some advanced things that you can do. And then in columns also you get all the options, and you automatically get all the options for all the columns in your Google Sheets. We select predict, and then it starts to predict some values. जैसे वो prediction खत्म हो गई, this is something that you should automatically see. So it creates new columns for the predicted values, जिसमें उन predicted values के आ रहा होता है, and साथ ही साथ you also see a confidence score. Right? So you see a probability, you see a confidence score for the predictions that the Google Sheets has made for you. So this is basically section 1. 3 clicks, what we did was we recovered the missing values. We get a measure of confidence. So what's good about this confidence is कि जिनका confidence कम हो, you can reject those values. Right? So you can do like a post-processing and say, okay, जिनका 90 से कम है confidence score, I don't want to keep those values. And we did not write any line of code, so that's the interesting bit. So this is how you should feel right now, if you don't already. And the second thing is the forecasting sales. We'll also go over like a scenario in this case, which is, for example, you are a restaurant manager and you want to forecast the next 4 weeks of sales. And you want to plan, for example, the ingredients, you want to plan your staff, you want to plan all of those things. And this is with respect to a restaurant, but obviously in any place where you have some features that can affect sales or anything else, then you can basically, this is where forecasting can help. So same way, we have the data in Google Sheets. So you load your data in Google Sheets, copy paste, load, import, any way you want to do. So in this case, we basically have some columns. So those are basically the items. You can also add a type to each of those. And the good thing about Google Sheets is that you can obviously organize all of these things simply with rows and columns. So when we look at the sales, so this is what we currently have. And isse aage ki hum prediction karne ki koshish karenge. So when you want to do predictions with this, you basically, aapne date ki base pe prediction karna hai, so you fill the column for the date, jahan tak aapne prediction karni hai apne. For the next 4 weeks, then you add dates for the next 4 weeks, and so on. We follow the same thing. So you select forecast future values in this case. Then you basically select ki aapne kin items ki prediction karni hai, kin columns ke liye you want to forecast for the future. You do that, and then you forecast, and it basically gives you the results for the forecast. That too in a separate column. So you get one prediction column for each of the forecasted columns. So jitne aapke items the, utne wo forecast ke columns aapko add up kar dega. So if we pick just one of these, and we pick the predicted sparkling water. So agar aap notice karo, to the blue one, that was the sparkling water jo hame pehle mil raha tha. And it has some kind of seasonality, right? Wo thoda sa chalta hai, and then it peaks, and then there's some rough, and then it peaks again. And in the forecast, you can also see that it picked up the seasonality. So the forecasting, for those of you who has worked in it, or not worked in it, the seasonality is something very important when you're forecasting. And seasonality basically means ek cheez jo repeat hoti hai. For example, if you're thinking about a theme park, तो theme park में लोग summers में ज़्यादा जाएंगे या breaks में ज़्यादा जाएंगे. So that's a seasonality. That's going to happen every year, right? So seasonality pick करना forecast में is a crucial thing. So the Google Sheets, the simple ML for Sheets is actually good at that. So in summary, you get to know the likely sales for the next 4 weeks. We did this again without any line of code. And you can use this very easily to see impacts in your business on different things, or where forecast actually matters to you. The last thing obviously is that, is this useful if I already know ML? Because it seems like it's too simple, or it's for people who don't know machine learning that much. The answer is yes, definitely it's helpful for when you want to do iterative processes, right? So you have a data, you want to try out different models on it, but you don't want to spend like weeks training models. You don't want to spend 2 days deciding कि आपने decision trees के parameters क्या रखने हैं. You have a lot of options, and you're not that sure कि उसमें whether the solution that you're looking for is going to work on the data that you have or not, right? Or you want to maybe experiment with different features and use subsets of features for predictions, or different combinations of features for predictions. So simple ML for Sheets is actually just gives you solutions in a few seconds. So you can try maybe, for example, see कि पहले 4 features predictions missing values को कैसा predict करते हैं. If you take, for example, the next 10 features, तो वो कैसा predict करते हैं. So you can very quickly experiment with your data and the models. The other things that you can do, which are the advanced simple ML functionalities, is you can also train a model. So if you have the data, you can also train that model in Google Sheets. You can evaluate your model, you can run your model, and you also get an instance of that model to use elsewhere, right? So you can export your model and you can use this for very quick prototyping. So in conclusion, we know that it has no coding, so it's very simple to use, and you can do this without any line of code. You don't need to know ML to work around this, and tabular data is probably the first thing that the first kind of data you interact with when you jump into machine learning. And the last thing, which we have been talking about security in the past few talks, so you keep control of your data. Your data is not going anywhere. It's not going to any third API. It's staying with you, and the model gets trained there. And for advanced users, obviously you can run ML tasks such as training, time and stress, forecasting very easily. You can do fast and high quality. You can get fast and high quality results, so it's very good for that. And you can also export your models and use them later on with TensorFlow, TensorFlow JX, JAX, etc. Behind the scene, it actually uses TensorFlow decision trees. So TensorFlow key decision, that is why we talked about decision trees in the start. And these are some learning tools or resources that you can use if you want to dive a bit deeper into what's happening. Yes, and yep, this is how you should feel right now. Okay, most of the slides, apart from the memes, that's my addition, but everything else was Google content. So just a disclaimer on that. And that's about it. Thank you. And any questions, feel free.